Everyone, this is delicious Don Juan the Texas treat, and you are listening to the Countdown City WrestleCast.
God, if you guys could just hear the stuff that goes on before we go live.
Welcome back, everyone. You cannot hear nothing to be fair. Cannot hear nothing.
Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast, everyone. I'm your host, JC. Joining me this week is Tommy.
What's up, guys?
And we got Mike.
What's up, guys? It is 2022 Electric Boogaloo, the scariest weekend of the year. Ooh. Halloween's a Monday.
It's this weekend. Based on Halloween Havoc, I felt like it was last weekend, just the way that all the cinematics they had during that show. So
yeah, that was odd.
Yeah,
throwback, flashback.
Kind of threw me off. I was like,
still,
is the Mandy Rose match a cinematic? I didn't get that memo. It kind of threw me off in that beginning segment there when they first came out.
Little, yeah,
it's fun.
But here we are.
Here we are. Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. I see we already get some Bernsey. Hi, everybody.
Bernsey.
Sorry for this late start, but yeah, we had some stuff we had to take care of and get technology, get kids to bed, and all that fun stuff. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We are going to be recapping NXT Halloween Havoc and discussing a bit in our wrestling news about the top 10 of the Women's 150 that just dropped from Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Which is a surprise and a first for the Women's 150 as far as who took the top spot. So we will get into that as well. And then Tommy, of course, later will be giving us a little bit of rundown of what's going on locally on the independent circuit with BOW's event this weekend. So before we get into Halloween Havoc, let's jump into the wrestling news. And Mike, you got the top 10 there in front of you. PWI's Women's 150 has been released. The issue for subscribers is on its way to you. You can also go on to pwi-online.com and buy the digital version of the issue if you want to take a look at it already. But yes, the top 10, though, has kind of made its way around the internet. It is a 150, but Mike, do you want to go from 10 to 1, or how do you want to do this here?
Probably, because when I get to 1, Tommy's going to have to take over so I don't embarrass myself.
All right. Go for it.
So, sure, we'll start with the top 10. Rounding us out at 10, we have Taya Valkyrie, who, again, so we'll get into this in a minute. And obviously, it's the window of time, but I think wrestled in a couple places over that window.
She's still working through Mexico, NXT, back to Impact. Yeah. So
yeah. She was in Mexico a lot more during that.
That's what I would assume. But I know she wasn't just in one place. Number 9, we have Starlight Kid, who Tommy, I assume, is a Stardom.
Very much so. Yeah. And I don't want to get into it too much till you finish, but yeah.
It was on the cover, by the way. Yeah, I'll get into that later, but go for it.
Yeah. And then the number 8, which again, I have to think about when this timeline was because I feel like I haven't seen her in forever. Number 8 is Charlotte Flair. We always expect her to be near the top, but again, I have to look at that time frame because I feel like it's been a while now since she's been out. But again, I don't remember. We'll talk about what the actual thing is. So number 7, actually, Tommy, maybe Saya Kamatani.
Saya Kamatani. Yeah, Kamatani.
All right, close enough. Take it. Stardom.
Yes, Stardom.
Yep. Okay.
Stardom as well.
Because the list I'm looking at doesn't have their affiliated, but most of them I know. So number 6, we have Jordynne Grace. Obviously, kicking butt on Impact. Was their first digital media champion. if I remember correctly, and
yes.
then the
Was
women's
Impact Women's champion for Knockouts champion for a while too.
knockouts
Yes.
too, right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
she won
She
quite a
still the
bit of
champ?
gold.
I think she's
thought
still the
she just-
champion.
Yeah, you might be right, actually.
No, because her last defense was a Masha Slamovich, and she won. I thought.
That's right. She didn't win. Yeah, she's still champion. Yeah,
Yeah, there
but
you
she had
go.
digital media then. Yeah.
So,
sorry.
yeah, really cool for her.
Mhm.
Number 5, Jade Cargill. I get it.
She earned it, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you're coming from,
I
but it
mean, if wins and losses is a part of it, it's not like she's technically ever lost.
That's true.
But as a character, we'll talk about it too.
Yeah, we did see it. We are going to talk about it later on the show. We're just kind of getting to the rest of the segment. We are going to be recapping Halloween Havoc. We'll have all that discussion.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that was number 5 with Jade Cargill. Number 4 is the infamous, was about to turn back to the men and then got injured, but it's Becky Lynch, who did have that good run coming back as a heel. Her and Seth just channeling Lady Gaga for much of the last while. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not. That's why it's
not,
funny.
but that's why it's funny. So, yeah, for sure.
And then cheers and applaud all around here from us at number 3, our very own Thunder Rosa, La Meta Meta.
Congratulations.
The still women AEW Women's Champion.
Yes, she
as
is.
Tony Storm is the interim champ.
Yeah.
And once Thunder Rosa's back, they will settle that.
Yep.
But yeah, congrats to Thunder Rosa coming in at number 3.
Well earned.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Number 2, we have Bianca Belair. Can't really argue much there. So
But
I guess I'll throw
I
this
think
in
a
real
lot of
quick.
people were shocked by this, that she was 2. Everyone really thought she was going to be 1. So
right, and I feel like Tommy will fill us in a minute, but I do want to say this, because obviously everyone knows I'm a huge Bayley fan. And I was watching Raw, but I guess I wasn't completely paying attention. So they kept advertising Bayley versus Bianca. So I was like, I assume it's a championship match because they were hyping the crap out of it. Well, if you watched Raw, we're not really recapping Raw, so I'll just kind of mention it. Bayley gets the pin when Crazy Nikki Cross is brought back. And I'm like, cool, Bayley's the champ. And then, like, no one's really saying anything on Twitter. And I was like, wait, it was just a regular match. I guess the idea was Bayley just needed to pin her, which I'm not going to complain about. But, yeah, so for like a short amount of time on Monday night, I thought Bayley had regained the title. And I was like, why does no one say this? Like, I'm glad Nikki Cross is back too. But, yeah, it was just a match. But here we are. But, yeah, Bianca Belair definitely has earned that. Has been carrying that title for long periods of time. And then number 1, Tommy, so I don't mess up this name. What do we got?
Shuri. It's Shuri.
Shuri?
It looks like Sayuri, but it's pronounced, but the Japanese pronunciation is Shuri. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. And I'm sure
the kanji, how that works. So
and I'm sure you can explain why she's number 1.
Yeah, I if you guys want me to put on my Stardom hat for a couple minutes, explain why all 3 of them are there.
Go for it.
So since that's how we start, I'll start with who appears first, like at number what was she, 9, Starlight Kid. So all 3 of the Stardom women on here are I'm kind of surprised who made it on the top 10, but then again I have to remember the recap period, and this was probably just after they probably finished right. I'm sorry, they finished right before the 5-star Grand Prix began. In which case, this list would be wildly different. But but Starlight Kid, she was really kind of just making a name for herself, just getting started. But then she joined Oedo Tai. I think, Mike, I told you about them before. Yeah. And she really injected a new life into that stable, and she really got to show her personality. Her mask became like black and purple. She started showing a little bit more of a violent side. It was really cool.
I will say that's the one of the 3 I've actually heard of.
Yeah.
In my social media and wrestling following. So,
yeah, she's really caught on social media wise. Like, fans are really behind her, as they should be. Yeah. Saya really she won, I think, at the Wonder Stardom Championship, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's why she took off. Shuri, in all honesty, she's just kind of overdue. And I'll explain why. She's actually a former tag team partner of, get ready for this, Hikaru Shida. They actually won a couple of tag team titles together in Japan, not in Stardom. They won them, where they won them at? But I forget where they won them. But yeah, so she won in Japan. She was in Donna Del Mondo for like since they started, but then she broke off and formed her own faction called God's Eye. And then she beat Utami for the World of Stardom Championship, which I gotta preface it with this: when she beat Utami, this is at a time when she seemed unstoppable. I think Utami was in the top 10 last year for the women's 150, and like this is a point where Utami looked unstoppable, and like no one was gonna ever like knock her off that perch of being champion, and Shorty did. She's been wrestling since 2008. She's literally a year younger than me, and she was trained by Tajiri, among other people. She's a student of Tajiri, which kind of adds as to why she's so good. But it's just the matches she's been putting on, and like they really. You know what's funny? I was gonna say they really strapped the rocket to her back of carrying the company, but I can't say it's just been her carrying Stardom. They've been really doing a good job of rotating the faces of the company, like between her, Tam Nakano, Julia, and so many other people. But she's really been the one that they really have like make like the secondary ace, because the first ace for Stardom is and always will be, probably until she decides to leave it, which I doubt she ever will, is Mayu Iwatani. She is the undeniable Tanahashi of Stardom. But you can probably count Shuri as something like the Okada if you want to make that comparison, really.
I was going to ask you who you compare it to.
Yeah, you could say Shuri's you could say she's either the. I was going to say Naito, but not that. Julia is more the Naito of Stardom, really. Yeah, because
that's another name I hear often. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Julia, she just won the Grand Prix this year. Right. She's the first time winner of it. So honestly, if she wins the World Championship from Stardom within like the next calendar year, I won't be shocked at all. I won't be shocked that Julia's in the top 10 next year of this list.
Because just real quick, somebody said earlier it was Utami Hayashishida, who was second last. It was actually second.
She was second last year. Yeah. And that's why. Now I'm going to be honest. I'm a little surprised she beat out Bianca Belair. I thought for sure Bianca was going to be number one, but knowing what Shuri has done in the past year, especially for Stardom, I think one of the biggest factors is Stardom has been running more regularly now, as opposed to last year where they had to just do some shows at a time because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
but that was the real difference there. So
and thinking about the time,
I'm assuming if we go by they start the evaluation period I guess the month after, because PWI 500 evaluation period is July 1 to the following June 30th.
Right.
So I am assuming the evaluation period for the women's 150, and I'll find out when I get the issue, was August 1st, 2021 to July 31st of 2022.
That would make sense.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
And Belair lost that title to Becky Lynch right at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. When Becky Lynch came out. So, I mean, to say she was second after losing the title, and it kind of took her a while to get back to that. So she dropped to second. With her off year.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, again, those things, and like we talked about with the 500. There are some other things they take into it, not just like their record, but kind of like how much waves they're making, if you will, how much
influence on the sport. But they do tend to evaluate specifically how you're doing in women's matches. Right. So it's not necessarily if you're in intergender matches, they don't put a heavy emphasis on that. It's more heavy emphasis on how you're doing in just straight women's matches.
Yeah, and just want to throw out also, looking at that top 10. Besides the person that AEW is determined to push more than anything, it's Thunder Rosa. Britt Baker fell out of the top 10, and honestly, AEW hasn't had the most consistent women's booking. So
no,
even winning the title when we were there, and then even with her crap booking to be number 3.
But and the thing is, even after that, it's worth discussing. But real quickly on the cover of the Women's 150. If you guys haven't seen it yet,
Yeah.
Starlight Kid, Saya Kamitani, and Tsuyuri who graced the cover of the Women's 150. You have 3 Stardom wrestlers, all of course appearing in the top 10, gracing the cover.
Yep.
And basically the headline is our Women's 150 is totally Stardom struck, and frankly, it's about time. So who knows?
Well, I know what
many
Tommy's
other...
buying after we get off the air.
Yes, I'm sure.
I can't lie. I can't lie. Actually, I'm pretty looking forward to that. Actually.
If you're interested in it, go to pwi-online.com. It's right there at the very front if you want to get the digital edition. Once I get my hand on it, we'll probably have a bigger discussion later on about the entire 150 for sure.
Just whet your appetite with the top 10.
Yeah, but back to what you're discussing here. Yes, once Thunder Rosa won the championship, and there's such a buildup with it, she beats Britt Baker, and then she's rarely used on TV until a lot of fans start saying something. And then, of course, she's getting used, and then she gets injured, like back issues and stuff, which are pretty serious because she still has said in interviews she's still struggling to get around. You know, it's one of those things where she has to get out the pain piece of it.
And just how Jason's
if you're watching us, yeah, there's Jason's comment. All right, we put that up real quick. Damn time, yeah. So
yeah.
I will say DDP Yoga might be a help if you're watching us, Thunder Rosa, because it seemed to revive a lot of careers. It seemed to help a lot of injuries, so it's worth a shot, right? So
also maybe locally in town, try Rusty. I've heard get this.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go, right? So,
I was gonna say one more thing about Shirley's, like her media. I mean, to me, and like anytime a wrestler either in Japan either becomes leader of a stable or just gets their own. That's a pretty big deal. And the funny part was when she formed God's Eye, I think so because she left Donna Del Mondo to do that. I think someone was in DDM and left to go join her stable because like they just felt like they could grow more. Because I know like Natsupoi they're falling and everything, but yeah, no. So it's just like I said, she's had one hell of a year, and I think probably right when she was getting that rise is right when their evaluation period started. So and then it culminated with her beating Tommy this year. I think it was this year.
Check it out. This is the 15th edition of their women's list. Hard to believe. This was started as the female 50.
Yeah, I remember that.
15 years ago, and it turned into the women's 100. Now the women's 150. So pretty awesome.
Women's 200 is next.
So Tommy, just gonna throw this out real quick because I haven't looked. I haven't bought the digital copy. Odds that your favorite wrestler is in the top 150? What do you think?
If she's not, I will be hurt severely. Because
he is clearly a top tier fan.
Yes.
I was not at all talking about her.
I said your favorite wrestler, Tommy.
And I know you meant La Rosa Negra, you jackass. Anyway.
Of course, but I mean, I hope. Well, we know Kylan Keene because she's posted about hers, but I would love to see several of those MPW regulars, Mission Pro regulars.
I feel like
I got to imagine.
Yeah,
I mean, I got to imagine like Genocide, Holodead, at least those.
We'll see.
Those
Yeah,
top, so
the way Mission Pro's been making waves, we'll see how they pop up. So yeah, for
looking
sure.
forward to that.
Yeah. Then some of the other local talent. I know Maddie Rinkowski's got some time on AEW
yeah, she
Dark,
should definitely be on there. She
should be on there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be worth discussing. Of course, hashtag top tier Tommy. There's scrolling across the screen too at the bottom if you guys haven't noticed it. So. I love you, Tommy.
I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out because I'm so used to the regular.
Oh God, I didn't either.
I didn't even notice that.
I've been scrolling across the whole time. Or for a while.
Just for the last few minutes.
It said PWO Women's 150 first, and he just changed it.
The magic of producing. Let's get into NXT.
I hate this show.
Halloween Havoc. You love us, don't lie.
I hate this show.
An event that took place this past weekend on Peacock, and I want to say this was really the first major NXT show under the back under the Triple H umbrella, I guess we can call it. No more tie-dye unless you're Braun Breaker's outfit. But this event was pretty amazing. It kind of did harken back to a bit of the old WCW cinematic days a bit, took me back a little bit, but threw me off at first because that first segment with Mandy Rose and Alba Fire, I was like, is this supposed to be a cinematic match? Did I miss something in the preview? I was like checking my notes. Like, what
I was asking. I was like, wait, do I not have to go to work tomorrow or this Monday? Like, are we back on lockdown? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely a fun night. And if you did watch Halloween Havoc, feel free to comment. Let us know your thoughts here on the event. We're gonna kind of share ours a bit, what we liked, disliked, what was our favorite match, favorite moment of the night, and then get into our WrestleCast ratings too. We'll discuss that. So. Start kind of just go around. Mike, I guess what was your favorite match, favorite segment of the night?
Well, I know we're gonna get into this later, but nothing apparently happened the way I thought or wanted it to happen.
No.
But other than that, I mean, I can't really complain when Mandy Rose shows up on TV, despite what what they're gonna write down right up there with the Bellas as far as her legacy for NXT. But you know what you're gonna do. I mean the triple threat. So I will also kind of admit I watched it, but I wasn't always fully watching it, if that makes sense. There were some times when some stuff was going on that I was taking care of some other things. I did see most of the Roxanne Perez or fully like pay attention. The Roxanne Perez Cora Jade match. That was really cool,
amazing.
of course, supporting Roxy. I mean, the ladder matches, I don't think they can have a bad ladder match. Like you might see some of the same things going on, but they're always pulling off.
Well, sorry,
ridiculous crap. And Von Wagner, though, I'm sorry.
The funniest part of that ladder match was just the very beginning. They're all staring at each other, and Carmelo Hayes like, "What are y'all doing here? I'm gonna go get a damn ladder." And he just started walking.
Yeah.
And they just started beating each other up. That was a great way to start. So
yeah,
that was fun. I saw the weird. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I saw the weird. It was like in the middle where Shotzi was in there, and then Quincy Elliott came back in, and who's the Lash Legend?
Lash Legend, yeah.
There was that weird segment. Yeah, there was that too. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was mostly cool, but there was,
Yeah,
I will say Shotzi should just do more stuff. Period. Just overall, I don't. Yeah.
Well, last year didn't they make her howl or something when they were doing this? Or was that already 2 years ago? Wait,
I don't know.
Oh God, how long has they been?
Jeez, it's been
I'm trying to think. Was that like the right at the end of lockdown Halloween Havoc they had? I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, but there was the Shotzi one where she was like howling and she was like the host again.
That might have been last year because I mean, obviously
remember.
there's still the Performance Center, but what is it that kind of got the crowds back? Was it around Survivor Series or was it around SummerSlam? I can't recall last year.
No, because they were still.
Wasn't it right before Mania? No.
Well, they did. Mania was like a first big live event they did in person, but they were still doing like.
Oh no! You know what? No, it was after because Royal Rumble was still in the thing. They didn't do live crowds until a couple months after Mania.
Yeah, so it's closer to SummerSlam when they started getting live crowds again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think for me, match of the night was definitely Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. That is. I still don't know if that feud is done. That's something they've been working up for a long time. I love the way they entered. I love that Roxanne brought out the skateboard of all things too with the trash can.
That was a funny start. Yeah.
It was a great start. They just great storytelling. And a part of me really wants them both on the main roster so they can continue this there. It's like, golly.
I feel like though also we have a severe bias to any Roxanne Perez match on any show because we all just want to see her succeed.
Excuse me, I'm gonna respond with your own answer. Of course I am, and I have no qualms about it. You tell me this all the time when I call you biased.
You know what? Probably, but like.
No, but she's
prodigy. Like she's still
she's legit good. Yeah,
it's hard to believe as young as she is for her to be that. And by the way, her mom posted a TikTok last week, earlier this week, of her following Roxanne Perez for her SmackDown debut, and she got to travel with her to New Orleans for it. Them hanging out together, being in the crowd to see her coming out, firing the cannon on the tank and everything, and. Getting some action in the ring. So that was.
Does her mom still have to buy her alcohol, or
probably if she drinks? But I think she's only 20 now, right? So,
she's only if that. I think
so, but it's for people like us, you know, that kind of grow up as wrestling fans, and she's living the dream at such a young age. Like, how many of us have seen the picture of her with AJ Lee outside Laredo Energy Arena, or whatever it's called now? I don't even know. You know, just her hometown. They change the name all the time. I think it's Sames Auto Arena now. But to get that picture, and then, you know, we talked about her a lot. Like, there's this girl out of Laredo. She's kicking ass. You know, got to travel all over Texas. First Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and then Ring of Honor folds, and she jumps right in with WWE. The one weakness we said she has promos, and she has excelled at that, and that's really kind of made her well-rounded, you know. So,
and in all fairness, I'm sure Cora Jade has family, and
oh yeah, I'm sure.
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure she does, but I'm just saying.
No, I know, I understand.
From our neighbors, some we see up on the independents,
definitely.
like it's amazing. So
that
being said, she's still a match tonight. I don't give a fuck if I'm biased or not. I think she's still
fair
good,
enough.
so.
Fair enough. It's just crazy to me to think, like, probably one of the last couple shows before the pandemic was like Heavy Metal or like some random TWE show where, you know, she was wrestling in front of, like, you know, maybe at best 200 people. You know, and I'm pushing it with that. And you know, I get to, you know, I take pictures with her for free, you know, because, you know, she wasn't even charging for merch yet. You know, but then, you know, she goes from that to now, like, literally everyone knows her and they're already calling her like future, you know, world champion, which I believe she probably can do. I really do think she has what it takes to make it and be a legit legend if she keeps up this path, because that match was great. I was gonna say when you mentioned about the ladder match, like we see a lot of the same spots. I was like, well, didn't Shawn Michaels produce it? I'm not shocked. But at the same time,
like I don't even. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. But I don't even mean that as an insult. But it's like,
oh no, I neither.
Yeah, but like they are a lot of the same things. But it's a ladder match, so even if they are, like, they're still cool every time you see them.
Well,
so.
Here's what I say. If Shelton Benjamin for the rest of his career had just done that one ladder spot where he just runs up ladders either to clothesline someone or to dive off of it in every single match, I would still every time be like, how the hell does that man do that and not catch his foot in the rug? Because he did it twice during 2 different Money in the Bank matches, and I was like, what kind of trust in your feet do you have to do that? I don't trust my feet to do that.
Yeah. I don't trust my feet to get up and like walk to the bathroom without tripping here in a minute, but
I mean, some of us are just that clumsy, right? You know, if I start running without stretching, I'm pulling a hammy at my age. You know?
I mean,
dude, I gotta stretch before I go to HEB, bro. Like,
I mean, you're talking about clumsy. I got a scar here from when I was a kid, and I tripped over a tree branch and hit a tree playing baseball. So, you know, what you gonna do?
Yeah, but it's how much more innovative can you get with ladder matches for sure.
No, but
still, it was amazing. It was fun. I'm happy Wesley won.
Yes.
That
was my favorite.
Very cool.
I really wish you would have allowed me to change my pick at the end after I tried. That would have been cool.
We should make that a thing where we can only change one pick if we decide to, like during
before the show ends,
right before the show, right before the match.
Even if it's right before the show, yeah, we should we can only.
So I was just thinking, like, before the end of the show, we do it. Like if it's a 1 minute warning, we're like, wait, I want to go back and change this, but
yeah,
I mean that could be fine. I mean, if it's during the show, I have no problem with it.
But I can't wait till we decide to do that, and then our first pick's always
is the
right.
one. Yeah, always misses,
and we want to like stop doing it until all of a sudden it switches.
Yeah, so full disclosure, the only pick Mike got correct was Roxanne Perez beating Cora Jade. So
I think because wasn't that unanimous?
Thank you, Texas.
I think
that was the only unanimous one. Exactly. Yeah. So, I was the only one that I lone wolfed it with Mandy Rose.
So I mean, in one way, you guys were 4-2, but I got more incorrect. You know, like if you think of it in reverse. I mean,
look, knowing that you're a math teacher, you would probably have your kids do all the ones they got wrong just to get half credit back, right? Is that how you do your math stuff?
Well, I mean,
on the test,
when they get 9/10 of them wrong, no, I'm just
kidding. Yeah, it's too much math for the rest of the show.
Hot tag, Tina. No,
thoughts, you guys, on really? I mean, obviously, we have a new NXT North American champion because it was held by vacant before. He still didn't get to defend it, but still, the two main titles on the show, the women's championship and the NXT championship, still have not changed hands. They're the lone, they're still champs. They had it through the 2.0 era, if you will.
Yeah.
And I've said this. I mean, I picked them both. I think I alone with both of those, right? Yeah, I did. I said it's not time for them to drop it yet. I think the difference between the transition from the original NXT to 2.0 is they were just kind of whitewashing everything Triple H did. But I think now with this new road with NXT, I guess we'll call it the 3.0 era, right? It's not necessarily, they're not just there to get rid of what was done. It's like, hey, there's some stories to tell here. If they're going to drop the title, it's got to make sense.
Casey's just happy that Mandy Rose is still the champ.
Yes, I'm happy Mandy Rose is still champion. But yes, I'm also happy Braun Breaker's still champion, because I feel almost like for him, who's going to take it off of him?
But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I also feel like you run into a danger if you don't get someone who at least seems like a legitimate challenge.
Right.
Because then it kind of gets boring. Like, not to bring this back, but the thing with Jade Cargill is if Athena didn't do it, then like half these other challengers they bring in are just like, oh, here's this person who was on Dark for a bunch, but you've never seen on Dynamite in months or maybe a year. Like, why would I get hyped about that match if I don't feel like there's a chance?
It's the Goldberg streak all over
So you
again
got to
with
be
him.
careful with two dominant champs, because it's a little bit different with NXT, because most of the women in NXT you probably think should be able or could beat Mandy Rose. And for a lot of her early titles, obviously, Toxic Attraction was helping out. Some of her later ones, started winning on her own. And Braun, the same thing. Braun Breaker's another one I think you got to be careful with, just because he's so young. I know everyone's like put him on the main roster now, and maybe he will. But like he's got a lot of time still, and like I don't know.
I fully expect Breaker to still behold the title when he's in the Rumble. I think he's going to be in the Royal Rumble, and I think shortly after that, he'll be on the main roster. And I'm at the point where I'm thinking he's just going to vacate the title when he goes main roster, because I don't know if there's anyone in the men's division right now that can beat him. Mandy Rose, though, I think will drop it at some point. And I don't know if it'll be by the end of the year, but right. I like how you did that. I think there's some more serious challenges in the women's division for her championship. There are in the men's side of things for Braun Breaker's championship.
Well, I thought for sure Nikita Lyons was going to beat Mandy Rose until she was set out for an injury for a couple months. Yeah. So I thought that might happen. Now, the only other thing I can see with Braun is some kind of heel victory. Like I was looking at, because since Carmelo Hayes didn't win, and I don't know if he's main roster bound yet or not. He might be. But him and Trick Williams could do some dastardly and win the belt, because he's always sure of himself. But I see that. Well, I mean, and we're also forgetting, because I don't know if we meant to bring this up. What happened this past Tuesday on NXT with the certain debut and a new group?
I did not see that. Can you enlighten us?
Oh well, are you talking about the
Schism?
Fourth generation? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I heard about it. I didn't see it, but I've seen the clip since then.
No, I watched the clip of I forget what her name is now.
Ava Raine,
daughter of Dwayne Johnson, joining Schism.
Okay.
So I'm feeling like now that group's starting to get a lot of clout, since they have the former grizzled young veterans who are now a lot creepier.
Can you give them their beards back, man? I don't know.
Now that I agree with. I'm 100% behind that.
Just let them grow it out, dude.
I mean, I know it's not their name anymore, but grizzled young vets, not fresh-faced young vets.
They need their beards back. I give you that for sure. Yeah. But my thing is, like, I feel like they wouldn't put her in a stable like that with that they didn't expect to really push them soon.
I heard someone point out earlier this week with that. What were their names as the grizzled young vets? It was I don't know, but anyway, the two guys who are the grizzled young vets are very accomplished, like wrestlers. Like they're really good. They're really solid at what they do. So you put her in with wrestlers, and then Gacy, he's a pretty good promo. Like he's got a pretty decent character going. A lot of people weren't sure about it at first, so. so you've got her, and obviously, I think very similar to Breaker. At some point, when they're ready to go big, you're gonna lean into the connection, the family connection. Finally, they've been downgraded. Yeah. If you're talking about those young bucks, I agree.
They put it up there.
But you put him with some decent wrestlers. You put him with a mic person, and that's just gonna help her grow. She's young, and I wouldn't doubt if she's the one that maybe eventually leads to winning the title or the company, because then you can start drawing that name in and playing on that. But we'll see. I mean, I do say right now, like JC said, I do think there are some other women in line to defeat Mandy Rose a lot quicker than there are men to beat Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
And thankfully Vince is gone, so we know Von Wagner is not going to be doing that anytime soon. So
No. Any other thoughts on the event or some other matches I know that we haven't discussed? Maybe you wanted to point out that stood out to you guys.
Well, I mean, we've talked about the people, but even the triple threat main title match, the men's title match, was a good match.
Yeah.
Dragunov as an amazing character and wrestler. McDonough, he had his issues. Apparently, they still employ him and didn't fire him. So, but I mean, he was an ace. Like, I don't know if you remember, what was his original name before they changed it recently?
It was
look it up
Jordan
here.
Devlin.
Devlin, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
When NXT was hitting high, and they had those NXT, those first couple of NXT UK pay-per-views, he had the match, I want to say, with Cesaro first, and then did he have the one with Balor?
Yeah, because Balor was a surprise one.
Right.
That was at like an Ireland show, I think, but yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
I still don't understand why they changed his name. I thought he had such name recognition
almost
with the Devlin name.
So, okay, so there was things brought up against him.
That
allegations.
Whole, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I think they were more along the lines of like domestic abuse, but apparently never charged, never anything. Part of me feels like it's so like if people look him up, it doesn't automatically go to all those stories with that name. Kind of like a little.
I mean, it still might, according to Kevin Owens.
Well,
JD,
yes.
Go Google me.
Yeah, that was something a couple weeks ago. Like Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens deserves the world, and the fact that he doesn't have it breaks my heart.
Were you the one that said a couple weeks ago when we talked about? They're like, or was I listening to it? They're like, well, yeah, he's Triple H's boy. Like, he's not afraid of.
No. I think that might have been me, because that's honestly how I feel. I feel like he could get away with that because that sounds like something Shawn Michaels or Triple H would have said back in the day, and and so they're like, they were probably backstage. Who can say this line? Hey, let's get Kevin on the show. He can say it. No one's gonna get mad at Kevin. No, okay, sure.
I could also just see Kevin being like, "Hey, Trips, I'm gonna say this." Yeah.
just like that, he just
trust you,
by.
Kev.
He's like, hey, I'm gonna make a Google joke about Jordan Devlin. Okay, have fun, son. I mean, Kevin.
we trust you.
All right, Dad. I mean, Triple H. I feel like they have a relationship like Holt and Jake in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but they say son and dad like, but they don't realize it all the time.
I believe that 100%.
I feel like Triple H said son first, and then Kevin Owens said dad, and no one corrected either of them.
I'm down.
All right. Well, as far as our pick results for this event, Mike went 1-5. Good job, Mike. And myself and Tommy went 4-2. So that might have been Mike's year. That was
one of my highest picks this year, actually.
I know I think we all have. I was like I said, I know I've teased a few times. I don't think did we ever decide what an opposite of a Tez would be? Like if we missed them all?
I don't know if we've ever had that. We've never said what it would be.
Like if we shockmastered it or something?
I could have swore I missed everything. A shockmaster.
Shockmaster.
I don't know. It just seemed like a nice little botch thing there.
I'm all for it, actually.
Who is the guy that went 0 for how many losses before he finally won? What was his name in WWE?
Oh, that was Brian Myers.
Well, there was it was
was-
but what was
was
his name? It was Cardona and
Oh God, what was Brian Myers' name? Shit, I
because it
can't
was
remember
Zack Ryder and Kurt
Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins, there you go, yeah.
Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, so if
We
we
Hawkins it.
we pull a Hawkins in if you get 0 for whatever. How about
Also, if you want to go old school, we could have said you Barry Horowitz did.
that?
I mean,
That guy used to lose a lot, and then when he won, it was like a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had anyone do that in the history of the show. I'll take a
No.
look
Okay.
back.
Thank you, Roxanne Perez, for saving me from a Shockmaster slash.
Actually,
fucking-
Mike did it once in 2020.
I 05 or 0 or whatever.
You went 0 for 4 when we were talking about NXT Takeover War Games in 2020.
Okay, I can understand my low grade on modern NXT, but I'm a little ashamed at the old black and gold NXT 04.
Yeah.
That's I must have been angry at something. Or, I
To
don't
date,
know.
that is the only time anyone's gone an 0 for. We're making predictions for the show.
Hey,
wow.
as long it's a record, they're talking about you.
What is the TikTok trend? A win is a win.
Yeah.
Right.
A win is a win.
Well, let's get into our WrestleCast ratings for the event. And if you are watching us live or even afterward, please feel free to send us your rating from 0 to 5, 5 being WrestleMania 17 and 0 being December to Dismember. Mike, we'll start with you. What is your rating for NXT Halloween Havoc?
Well, considering how poorly I did, I give it a 4.25. I mean, it was a solid show. I don't feel like there was anything in particular that like made it super memorable. Our bias for Roxanne aside, but it was a great show. It's one of those things where like nothing was really horrible, but nothing either was like I'm gonna remember this for like if you think back to like those NXT War Games or those when their championship matches just used to be classics. Like I don't think clearly they're not back to that kind of level of NXT, but I mean they're getting better, they're improving. So I'll say 4.25.
Okay. I'm kind of a similar thought, but I'm giving it a 4. It's a decent show. Some the matches were good. Some were just at some points I was just kind of like whatever. But the cinematics at some point just kind of take you out of it a bit too, because it left me confused. Like I said, like is this a cinematic match? Like what's going on here? But still, it's just a solid 4 for me. Good show to this special. But like you said, yeah, it's got to build back up to what it was, and maybe it may never be what it used to be. But as long as we're seeing the talent develop, I think that's important here. Tommy, what about you? What's your rating for the event?
I'll go 4. It was a good show. It just especially when how Mike said like not one of the memorable ones that stick. I feel like all the Black and Gold era War Games, Undisputed Era like shows like those just stick with you forever, man. Like seeing all those guys and and all the crazy stuff they would pull off, and that those stuck with you.
Or
So,
even
yeah,
the Bayley Sasha ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Brooklyn and
Like I feel like the Takeover era when that ended was like the end of their like must see shows. I mean, because I'm also thinking back to like the Dallas one with Sammy and Shinsuke Nakamura, where they had a Wrestle Kingdom level match where it's like it's like okay, so why can't Shinsuke Nakamura wrestle more now?
I was gonna say, remember when Nakamura felt cool and important and
now
seemed like the biggest thing ever?
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about Sami Zayn right now because he is still killing. I don't know if you guys heard this interview Solo Sikoa did recently. He said apparently Sami Zayn has said to him, "I'm going to break you on camera," and Solo said it is so hard not to laugh at him. He said he outright admitted it is so hard to keep a straight face when he's talking.
There's been segments where you've seen Roman, just having to
No, I remember one specifically where Jay, who he's supposed to be feuding with Jay, and Jay's like. he's like, this jackass is too funny. I'm gonna break.
and it's funny because not to get too off on a tangent, but like Kevin Owens, because they've obviously grown up through wrestling together. Always talked about, like Sammy's just kind of a weird guy, honestly. But it's just kind of him. That's just kind of his personality.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've just allowed him to be like, just go do whatever you think is right, Sammy. And he's like,
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's the greatest thing ever, honestly.
And I feel like he also goes to Roman and says, "Hey, I'm gonna do this. It's gonna be stupid. What do you think?" And Roman's already laughing. It's like, if you don't do that, I'll be sad. So go ahead.
And it's not like the bloodline was getting bad, but it's just breathed this even newer life into the whole story. And
it's like they added an element that wasn't missing, but just somehow made it more perfect.
Still makes it better.
It's like it's kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna put on my other nerd hat for a second and use an Avengers comic book reference. It's like I remember Tony telling Iron Man when they were reforming the Avengers to bring in Wolverine, because he said that's the missing piece, because he said, just like you were the missing piece when we formed the original Avengers. So I feel like Sam is kind of like not making it like they weren't, like you said, they weren't bad. It's just now they're badass and hilarious.
So with our ratings in, that brings our overall rating for NXT Halloween Havoc at a 4.08.
Nice.
Yep.
Bringing up the curve.
Bringing up just a little bit, right?
I mean,
considering what it had been about a year ago, yeah,
yeah, potentially, yeah. So, all right. Before we get into our 1 minute warning, BOW has a show this weekend.
Yes.
Tommy, you want to give us some details about that?
I absolutely can do that. Now, so it'll be this Saturday at the Woodlawn Gym. Damn it, where'd it go? Oh, here, there it is. Doors open at 6. The first bell is at 7.
What's the name of the event, or is it just Branded Outlaw Wrestling?
It's Halloween Hysteria.
Halloween Hysteria.
Halloween Hysteria, nice. Yeah. Now, as always, card subject to change. This is Texas. At current, we have Royal Taxation going up against Smoke the Reaper, Levi Lucas and Andre Law, DeMarcus Rashad, Nathan Estrada, Vic Endurance, and the Savage King, who I'm more than positive is trying to pose himself for a normal contender spot at this point. Ryan Davidson and El Rayo. Poor El Rayo. He doesn't deserve that. James Claxton, if you guys remember that name, is back in wrestling. James
Claxton, nice.
And he's facing Chase Owens of I think Chase still with the Bullet Club. Let's see, I don't know if I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Skylar Slice and Shiva will be on it, and the main event, which will be a hard-hitting affair, I guarantee you, is Shane Taylor and Moonshine Mantell.
Taylor's the current BW champion, correct?
He is the current BW champion. And considering he lost the VIP championship about 2-3 weeks ago, he's not in a good mood.
Nice.
He's not in a good mood. So, it's gonna be a great show. It's BOW. Clint made the decision. Oh, and Drew Dredd and Alexander Crowley will go one-on-one. But given the pandemic and how things have been going, the management of BOW decided to run shows nowhere near as often, kind of like what RCW has been doing, like every couple of months instead of every month or every other month. But I feel like the formula's really worked because it gives the guys and girls chances to branch out to other places, and we can get the word out more often. Plus, also next year I think we already have about 6 or 7 shows scheduled for next year, and I think we have one more this year in December. So this will be this one, and then the next one December. That'll be it for the year. So yeah, like I said, bell times at 7, doors open at 6. You guys come on by. I will be working the camera, moving as much as I do at HEB. So that's God help me. I feel like I haven't lost weight, and that's not fair. Because I feel like I have not lost weight, and I'm deeply saddened about that.
So I would spend most of my summer outdoors coaching a softball team that dropped me 10 pounds. So I mean that
maybe I'll do that next year, because at this point I need to do something. So,
coach a youth sports team that'll definitely get you moving. Let me tell you. Yeah. So
you would think stressing about writing would do it, but I guess not. So
we can get Lance Hoyt down here.
Okay, I don't know why no one on this show likes me. I don't know what I did. Because
I don't know where you get that idea. We love you,
quite
Tommy.
the opposite. Yeah, Tommy, we love you. Like, we kid because we love. And
Lance Hoyt would actually kill me. If Lance Hoyt doesn't get me for natural causes, I'll be shocked.
But that would cause you to run, and then you're exercising. And, if you never stop running, that seems like a good way to lose a lot of weight. Just throwing it out there.
Cheaper than a gym membership, buddy. Let me tell you.
Um,
Can we do a
Just
1 minute
saying.
warning now, please?
yeah, why not? That's a great segue.
Yeah, 1 minute warning, a chance. Basically, we get a warning to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about, wrestling related. Otherwise, Mike, do you have something this week?
Of course.
All right, whenever you're ready, sir. I think I have an idea what you're going to talk about. So whenever you're ready, set and go.
Right. So I mentioned this earlier. I thought Bayley. Wait, did I mention this on the show, or was it just when we were talking? Anyways, I thought Bayley had won the title Monday night when she beat Bianca when Nikki Cross came back. I didn't realize it was a non-title match. But for what it's worth, those of you who follow the show know my two favorites are Claudio and Bayley. And I would like to point out that they both pinned champions this past week. Because not only did Bayley pin Bianca on Monday, on Dynamite on Wednesday, there was a tag match with Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. And I've got to say, love that the AEW fans are still chanting the hell out of Wheeler Yuta when he's in the ring. Love that. Him and Claudio versus Jericho and Daniel Garcia, as that storyline kind of continues. Claudio hit the swing on Jericho with Daniel Garcia on his shoulders also, and then pinned Jericho clean. So really happy and impressed with that. Jericho this Wednesday is going to face another former ROH champion, but it's a mystery at the moment. So intrigued by that, but glad to see. I was starting to get a little afraid that Claudio was going to fall under that AEW thing where he gets a real quick burst and then kind of fades back in. But I really like that they got him, pin on Jericho. And there's talk that ROH is going to get its own show starting in the new year. And I would be cool if Claudio goes to there and becomes a top guy, always in or around the title for a while, or stays on AEW because Blackpool Combat Club, even though it's got a little infighting right now, I love that group. So
Nice.
Yep.
Tommy, you got something this week?
Just something kind of quick. Yeah.
All right, whenever you're ready, set and go.
Just shouts out to new promotion. I think it's new. It's called All Caribbean Wrestling. Main reason I know about it is because Swerve and Our Glory were actually on the show, and in no small part also was La Rosa Negra. Of course, that's why I'm talking about it. But yeah, so it's a good show. I have a few friends a couple of friends who were of Caribbean descent, so they were asking me what I knew about it, and I knew nothing until they told me. So I just looked it up, and sound like they ran a pretty good show. So yeah, more wrestling works for me.
All right.
I like it.
Short and sweet. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So-
I really didn't have much. So I just wanted to bring that one up. Plus, it had to do with
Okay.
La Rosa Negra, which I can always bring up.
Okay. Let me rewind the time here.
Oh,
All right.
your favorite? That's your favorite mission program. I'm sorry.
You know what? Shut the hell up! Oh my god!
Let me start mine before Tommy gets pissed off again. For me, I want to take a minute to congratulate a certain someone who we did interview on the show. It was probably the lone interview I did during the pandemic, but she was gracious enough to come on. And that is Angel Blue. As some of you know, when I did the interview, she was still recovering from a serious injury. And beyond that, she did have her own battles with addiction, with alcoholism mostly. She just hit the 150-day sober mark, and I wanted to take that time to congratulate Angel Blue. Is not wrestling anymore, but has gotten much healthier, mostly doing through CrossFit, and looks great, looks healthy. I'm very proud of her. Tina and I have always looked out for her early on in her career. Talk about someone who we talked about, Roxanne Perez. We've known her since she was 17, wrestling through Texas. So. And we've always just kind of looked out for her, almost treat her as like our own kid. But so I'm very happy to see that she's clean, healthy, sober, and doing well and having a good time with whatever she's doing. And maybe she may not wrestle again, but I know deep down it never really does leave you. You never say never in wrestling, right? So congratulations on 150 days sober and making 150 days more and just keep on going. We're proud of you.
Way to go on that, man.
I remember that being one of the first shows I think Lagai and Alana came to was a ACW show, and me and Angel Blue like riding a bicycle. Just got right into it. It was just,
Of course.
and it was so. And so here's the funny part. I always thought I could ease them into being around the show with me. It has never happened. Not once.
No.
Even with Alana's boyfriend, like I wanted to ease him into. So I figured Mission Pro first show. I don't really get into it. That many people here, it'd be okay. We walk in the door. Let me finish. We walk in the door. Freaking Casey Blackrow, shut up, Tommy. And I was like, and this is how the night starts. I was like, wait, the show hasn't even started yet.
So wait, Tommy, you're trying to tell me at that first show that was you trying to hold back?
I attempted to until Casey Blackrow started it, and then I was like, well, I guess we're off and running to the break.
Forget it.
Now.
We're done. Let it roll.
I mean, the first MPW show I went with you, which obviously started the whole, top tier Jasmine Delir joke. You literally wouldn't let the main event start because you were talking trash to her from the front row. That's when I didn't get the front row.
Oh yeah, well,
that April show, I think, or something.
In my defense, I have solved the main event of many of your local wrestling shows because
I believe you.
That's why a lot of people hate you or like you in this town. I'm just telling you. So
I don't think there's much difference.
And we love you.
That's why you are #Top Tier Tommy. That's just what it is, bro.
Put that back?
I just got to. It's just there. You brought
also, in all fairness, as noted on Facebook, you're a Texas wrestling legend in your own right.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was actually really cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But so, why is that? You can take it down now.
No, that's great, especially because it's right under your picture, bro.
Oh, maybe we should mention that. Jasmine Allure retweeted or liked
She
one
did.
of the countdown, the WrestleCast.
Put up
Top
#Top Tier Tommy and tagged her on it. She liked it. So
I couldn't believe
she's
liked
watching.
It. I could not believe she liked it.
She loves you no matter what happens. She
does. I think she was like, kudos to my number one fan.
Yes. So, well, thank you everybody for watching the WrestleCast. Let us know if you're watching this after the fact. Share your thoughts on NXT Halloween Havoc. And get ready next week because we are going to be previewing WWE Crown Jewel.
Oh, we are?
We are.
The disappointment.
I know. The first Crown Jewel under the new creative. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how Logan Paul does.
I gotta admit, that makes me mad curious about what we're about to see. That's what I'm curious about, honestly.
Yeah.
You guys want to donate any money to Amnesty International or, those kind of places? That'd probably be a good way to
this is like the PGA versus Live Golf as well. And one final thing. Oh, actually, I forgot to put the graphic up. Yes, we're going to preview NXT Crown Jewel, WWE Crown Jewel next week on the show. And also want to announce that going to AEW Dynamite December 21st at the Freeman Coliseum. And T and I made the decision. We're taking the kids on Christmas vacation. Going to experience their first AEW show. Don't know if they'll make it through the Rampage taping because that's going to be getting close to bedtime once it's over. But we did mention it to them, and Adi is very excited to see Orange Cassidy. Hopefully, Thunder Rosa can at least make an appearance. I know she's recovered from an injury, but she's definitely.
So Tony Khan, all the good people there. This is the kids' first show. Anyone they need, make sure they are there and prominent. So Orange Cassidy, Thunder Rosa.
Darby
Ruby
Allin.
Soho if she comes back.
Yeah,
Statlander if she's back.
And could potentially be there while MJF is champion.
I was gonna say this is gonna be post full gear. I'm very interested.
It's post full gear. Yeah, full gear's next month.
Ooh,
so
we didn't really get into it, but they try to turn him face.
Yeah,
if you saw the Dynamite stuff.
I saw it.
I know we're still
weeks away.
Yeah,
I think first of all, I think he's lying about the ring. He's going to use it in the match. He's just got to.
Well, yeah, there's that, sure.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be one of those things where mid-match turns heel, wins the title, flips the bird.
But he also turned on by the firm. Do you think it's going to be like he took the beating? Because I agree with you. Yeah. Like he was like, I want to earn this. He has to do the biggest, most obvious cheat to win the title because it's it. But so that I agree with you.
I feel like all this is a swerve, and honestly,
Whose house?
Well, yeah, but I feel like, but honestly, I'm loving how they could pull this off, and even if it obviously is him really just being the devil in disguise, I'm impressed by how they're doing
That's the key, the devil in disguise.
Again,
Yep.
in a sense, even though we're all saying this, just like the Hangman story, I'm fine with that. Don't overthink it then. Be the most biggest, obvious, like cheat, like here's a baseball bat. Like,
You know, the funniest part of that promo was just him saying, with all due respect, and then being mean about it, and then Renee saying, you can't say that, and then goes to insulting. It doesn't make it better. With all due respect, just shut your mouth. I was like, that's great.
Yep.
He's still got those tendencies there, which is kind of cool. So.
And Renee's like, oh, good, I'm talking to the Miz again. So,
he's really good. But once again, AEW crowd, shame on you for booing Regal last week or the week before, and he got you back in like 30 seconds. So
that was my favorite comment on YouTube for that one. Everyone said like I saw three that said almost word for word. They said, okay, we're talking about how MJF went over the crowd, but is no one going to bring up how Regal got them right back immediately?
Yep. Thanks everyone for watching. Of course, we do appreciate it. Indeed. We'll be back next week talking Crown Jewel. Let me get the music started. Well, yeah, we'll see if we're all on here, right? Over here, we got Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
We got Mike.
Thanks, guys. Be good to each other.
And I'm JC. And as always, heels and baby faces, remember, pro wrestling is real.
People are fake.
Everyone have a safe time trick-or-treating on Halloween. Have fun. Send us pictures of your costumes that are wrestling related. And we'll see you next week.
Adios, Gunther.
Kids, make sure your parents get to sample the candy before you eat it. Laters.